That's fine, there it goes.
Deputy Mayor, it's 5.
Yep.
It is. Thank you. Very good. So we'll begin the finance committee of November 12th. And all the council members are here. Thank you for all the staff. Everybody. I am, I think, right? Yeah, we're good. Everybody's here.
Sorry, I got all my stuff.
The first order of business, approval of minutes. Do we have any changes?
I didn't.
I did not see any.
Okay, very good. We'll move along to the department presentation update from Brian Sandler. Hi, Brian.
Good morning or good evening. It's been a long day. Okay, we hired a fleet manager who was supposed to start in January, and he is from California, but he's selling his house and he can start earlier than January, and which would be great benefit to the department. So he's starting on the 2nd. So that is shown on here. We have conditional offer letters out. So we're doing the background process for an engineering specialist, a maintenance worker 1 in streets, mechanic 1, and a senior center 8. Of note is that we do have some upcoming separations. 2 are in the prosecuting attorney's office. Then we have a maintenance worker 2 in the streets department separating. Are there any questions?
No.
Wait, what is recent upcoming separations?
Oh,
So both Dina has resigned.
What?
yep,
Dina has resigned.
she's leaving.
She's leaving, the 22nd.
Yeah.
I think, and then Josh is moving back down to Arizona.
Oh.
So in the interim, Inslee Best, is gonna be helping us with prosecution services.
I apologize, I missed it. I
Sorry,
missed a 0.
I
It
knew
should
that
be-
from
it should
public
be
safety, so I
11:30.
didn't have a question on it.
Oh, I was like, wait
I
a
didn't even
second,
think
I
about
didn't
it.
even catch that. until
Yeah, it should be
now.
November 30th, not November 3rd on
Oh,
her.
November 30th?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, then what about the maintenance worker? Chad, what's up with that one too?
He has left the city. It's a resignation,
Okay,
so he'll be working somewhere else.
so are we replacing any of these people, or are we just gonna do?
We just
Inslee Best?
found out about that one today, so we're gonna discuss.
Yeah, some of these things are still
Okay,
being figured out.
this is like,
Inslee Best will cover.
we're in scratch our head mode right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Inslee Best will cover the prosecutor issues, in the short term, which they were going to anyway.
Mhm.
So it kind of worked out nicely as far as that goes. And then we'll discussion about which way we want to go, in future. And then the other one, that just came in today, so it's.
Okay,
So we knew about Josh or whatever that was previous or something like that.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. He'd kind of been talking about it. He has some family issues that he wants to move out of state for, so.
Is that both of our, I'm not familiar with the.
That's both of
Yeah,
our
that's both of our
prosecutors.
The other.
The entire attorney thing there, yeah.
We're
So
doing-
it's kind of
we're
a big deal,
doing
and
really
yeah,
good.
all at once, and the
Yeah.
timing isn't great.
It never is, right?
But yeah.
Yeah.
But we have some things in place, we'll work through it.
Right, but you said the, I guess we have coverage through our.
Yeah, Inslee Best is gonna cover December, January, essentially.
Maylee will be one of them, and then there's another lady that'll be helping as well, Dina said. And she wants to get into the prosecution side, so she'll,
Mhm.
That'll be good. Any other questions on those? Yes. Alrighty, so we'll move along to our ordinance discussion back again, that shared leave, thing we were talking about last time, right?
That's correct, yeah. So we are looking to, again, from the last process or last meeting, we talked about, adding some flexibility, not putting the entire, policy in the ordinance. But there was a concern on what happened, how is something passed as far as, policy goes. And for this one, we're putting language actually in the ordinance of the process, and it's, reviewed. It's worked with in collaboration with the department directors, city administrator. It's also reviewed by legal. To make sure, nothing's out of date with the process or the policy. It is then reviewed and negotiated with the union representatives and then authorized by the mayor. So that additional language of how that process works is included. We did, we wanted to, indicate that it was just not something that mayor would be changing on a weekly basis or.
Yeah,
That makes me feel a lot better that
yeah.
this is gonna have many eyes on it, not, just a one or two sets of eyes. Have to clarify that, one or two sets.
I'm good with it. We send this to, now that we've got it, so that, it's not just on the mayor, it's on like everybody. This could be sent to,
Full council.
consent. I was thinking consent because like, there really isn't. This is something that the union as well as the employees want. It makes it more flexible, but it doesn't really cost the city anything. Because it's, it's just them moving their vacation time around so that they can help each other when they're in need.
That's true. That's true. We're not touching any money. They're not touching any money.
I can go either way. What do you think, Gary? Because if you want to comment on it at the council level, then we'll just put it as a full finance issue. But if you're not gonna intend on making comments, then we can start on consent with it. If it's, sometimes you like to comment on things, so, easily enough.
It's only when it has to do with money. I'm okay. I guess I'm okay with this one going to consent because you're right. It doesn't have any money to do with it. It is written so much nicer to have many people looking at and deciding on things rather than one or two people. So,
Yeah.
and it'll be in the packet for people to.
Tonight or?
No.
No, the 26th. The 26th, okay. Yeah, it'll be on consent agenda then.
Sounds good?
Okay.
Good, okay.
Thank you.
Righty, we'll move that one to consent. Next, available.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next item of business, of course, the video ADA requirements, so you.
It's on.
Right over here. There you go. Thank you.
Hello. Wanted to bring this forward, by April 26th of 2027, our website and social media platforms and stuff have to be an ADA compliant. That has just passed, giving the timeline. What that means is what I'm really focused on right now is the video part. So we currently, for all of our meetings, including council and committees and commissions, is we record the meetings and then we upload the meetings to YouTube and we post the link and everything. So come April 26th of 2027, what that means is all videos on any of our social media platforms or on our website need to have closed captioning. So we have played with it and we have tried it with Teams and then the YouTube one. And they are not very good. So what that means is if we continue to post the videos then we will either need to try and hire someone in 2027 to transcribe, hire a company to do the transcribing. Both are kind of pricey. Sherry has given an estimate of hiring an employee full-time. Currently, the clerk's office, and I know Leslie and Deborah don't have it in their time frame to sit there and transcribe a meeting to the closed captioning requirement. That's, saying what's going on in the background, if there's music, whatever, what everybody's saying. It's a lot of work to be doing it, so it will take a lot of time for somebody to be doing all our meetings that way. The option is we don't have to record and post video. We just have to at least have an audio option in order to be ADA compliant. And if we want to do that, we do have software that will remove the audio from the video, so we'll still record in order to do our minutes. Remove the audio from the video and just post the audio and then delete the video, because that'll be just for us to use to do minutes only. I know the council is very big on having all the meetings recorded and having them posted. So bringing this forward because we will need to figure out either just have the audio only or figure out a way of us being able to get them transcribed.
How
27.
is audio only, ADA compliant though? Cause they can listen to it through one of their special phones
Yeah.
or whatever?
They can't do that with it being on video?
Because it's video and you're visually seeing it, we have to have the closed captioning.
It opens up another level
Yeah.
of ADA compliance, because if you only give audio, then you have a certain level of ADA requirements for an audio only. But if you have audio and video, now you have to do all the audio and all the video. And the video is where you get into the closed captioning. And if you've ever tried to turn on closed captioning in a native YouTube, it's terrible.
So I got a question. Is this a WAC or an RCW or where's
Probably
it?
federal, right?
Department of
It's ADA, so it's
ADA.
This Department
Does
of,
it say it has to be good?
They do not have it.
So
This is just like doing any other thing that they pass. They say you have to be in compliance to do this, and then once people start doing it, start complaining, then they start looking into things. So as of right now, they do not have, just have to be somewhat. But if you go on to the ADA requirements and you look at what they are, and I've talked to several people from the ADA department and stuff like that, it needs to be
Close.
very close.
Is that a compliance? Cause what's the actual compliance date? There's a references to, over 49,000 persons and stuff like that.
The reference, our date is April 27th.
We've got 2.5 years.
What were they talking about with the size wise? Was that kind of?
That's where we fall into. There's different, depending on the size of the community, is depending on what date you have to be in compliance by. And ours would be the April 26th.
Yeah, I don't know, unless there's some kind of weird solution you guys can think of, that we can probably just stop posting videos.
Yeah.
That's the
It
easiest.
makes no sense to have.
I
take a step
included in-
backwards,
Yeah, I
essentially.
included an email that somebody had written and that had Moses Lake's quote that they got from a company to do the transcribing. And
It's obscene.
yeah,
It's like 2,600 an hour.
$45
$2,700.
a minute.
Yeah.
it's a lot of
$3
work.
a minute, and
Yeah.
our council members, or council meetings are not short.
Can you imagine it'd be like, hey, this council meeting's costing us $10,000.
Yeah.
You guys.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
More consent.
It'd be good.
Yeah,
so a lot of jurisdictions are reviewing this right now, so we all are in the same boat, like
Mhm.
trying to
Yeah.
guide our way through this new
Like
regulation.
a metro Regional.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's
Subscription
for
services.
artificial intelligence to be able to
Yeah.
speed up this and improve it, but it's not there yet.
Right. And so who knows what new products will be coming out in the next year.
But it also includes not just, these meetings,
Yeah.
but things that David records in the park during the summer that he puts on. Though that stuff has to be, any video has to be closed
Oh,
captionable.
gosh.
This
Yeah.
includes our trainings that we do. So if we have a training internal, that maybe Jason brings someone for public services and they record that. To be compliant, that needs to be closed captionable as well. So it's very broad in terms of what we need to do.
What are the, is the ADA able to, I mean, they're able to sue, I'm guessing, but what are the fines or whatnot if you're not in compliance?
It's more up to lawsuits.
And we have had a couple of residents complain about
Well, I'm
some
sure we
ADA
would
stuff
too.
already,
Yeah,
so.
That's.
What about like, well, no, what about like those transcribing, like the headsets that have the transcribing so that you can like talk into your computer and do all of your, paperwork, like if you're creating a document, you can just talk into it because like I type with fingernails and that doesn't work out so well. So like something like that, we're getting new microphones.
It's buying the software, it's also having somebody have the time to do every meeting.
Well, wouldn't that be part of the microphone?
Some of
Like,
those
so when-
programs, they're pretty good if you've trained the program to listen to your particular voice and you're the one recording.
Uh-huh.
But when you have an open meeting of 10
Mhm.
different people talking at different times, and it's a very unclear when you're stop talking and you start talking, that training system falls apart.
And accents and the problems that we continuously have about speaking into the microphone
mhm.
and not away from it, because we have trouble as it is. And
Yeah.
now you're asking software to try and do what we can.
Mhm.
Well, so what's the downside if we don't do video, right? Cause
That's just the council decision.
I'm thinking too, aren't they gonna look back at any other posting?
We have to
and say,
pull,
Right?
Mhm.
yeah. So
It doesn't,
by April 26th, we have to scrub any previous council recording, video recording, et cetera.
we don't have to go backwards,
No, we don't have.
we just have to go forward.
Yeah.
So does
On
the
But that's
video,
what years from
see it
now,
on the
right?
website,
Right.
and it's an
But
old
we have to
video,
prepare
but-
for it. So if you guys are wanting us to post video, then that gives you 2 years to figure out how we're gonna get the money.
Does the video become a transitory document? Are you
If
able
we're
to
only
delete it?
using it for taking minutes, correct?
The video is never our official recording.
Okay.
So because there's always audio that's in the archives, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. So, I guess we got time to figure this out, but
Yeah, it sounds like
sounds like it would be easier
getting
just to
rid
go
of the
to.
video
yeah.
would be best.
Sounds like it'll save a lot of money, and we don't have
And
that kind of
maybe some
money.
heartache.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, and it's my assumption that obviously it doesn't preclude the public from videoing meetings themselves. That's always been something they could do, as long as we don't interrupt the meeting or whatever.
it wouldn't be on us to.
Oh, but,
Do-
so,
They could do it and they
Yeah.
could post it, it doesn't.
They don't
yeah,
have the
but they
same
have to be in
requirements.
person because
Sure.
we're no longer gonna have the cameras, right?
Right,
We
yeah.
won't have, or will,
We
we
still
are
have
gonna
the camera, and they
video.
would still be able to virtually connect.
Will it be live or no?
It'll be just like we're doing now,
Okay,
except for we won't be posting the
Okay.
recording. We're just gonna pull the audio from.
okay,
I would be okay with that.
yeah.
Guess we got time to figure that out, but.
Yeah, it's just
crazy.
training staff, so we don't wanna wait up until 2027 to start this procedure, cause
Mhm.
we also have to train everybody how to pull the audio, get them used to doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and get the public used to only having audio and everything.
So if we do that and we, get rid of the video, then we don't need a new person? Or we
Correct.
do need a new?
No,
No.
We don't, okay.
and we wouldn't need to transcribe it. So we'd save thousands.
And that would be-
thousands.
Horrible job.
Yeah.
Your sole job in the city is to listen to council and videos and do nothing but,
Boring.
yeah.
Well, at every meeting,
Yeah,
every single
every
meeting,
meeting, yeah.
Which
Yeah,
Dave.
because I just looked up like how TV stations do it, and they actually have someone that goes in and transcribes it.
Yep.
Like, listens and have to type the whole thing out, and then they have to make it match up to that screen.
Exactly.
We'll
I was
still
like,
have to do it
oh.
for our social media though. If we have videos that we post, so we'll still have to do that. For that, but it's not as, it's a 30-second clip, the shorter clip, so. Not as time consuming.
When David posts his videos, would it only be like when he's talking and like showing the park? Or would it be
Whatever
the
videos
music
he
too?
posts, he'd have to put like, such and such band playing in the background, or he doesn't have to like type out the words of the band singing.
Okay,
He just has to say such and such band playing in the background. That's how that's done.
fun.
Wow.
Well, that sounds like the better option.
So,
I would say just bring that one to full council,
Yeah, for sure.
in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and we,
yeah, we'll have to look and see if it's in our, procedures, whether it can change anything, and then you guys have anything in the video stuff.
We left everything generic on that. Just saying that we would post at least minutes and
Sure.
stuff out because. But yeah,
So do you want us to go to full council when it's like at a future date? Like
Yes.
Mhm.
closer to
Probably a workshop,
25, 26?
Oh, yeah.
or-
workshop discussion.
Yeah, workshop discussion probably in 2025.
Okay.
That gives the
Perfect.
clerk's office time to train and prepare. Also
Okay.
give them as much time as possible to start getting used to it, right? So probably earlier. 2025, January or February maybe.
Fun, yay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next item of business then is Parks and Rec update, I think, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll do
Excuse me,
Jason's bidding here, parks update. I mean, not a parks update, recreation update,
Okay.
not parks.
So after chatting a little bit more with Sherry and my hurriedness to get the last update out before I went on vacation, with her long-term professional, calculating out numbers and my relatively new forecasting, it does look like I left a $30,000 line off of the last update, excuse me. So we're looking probably closer to being somewhere around 50,000 over the original 148, which saddens me, frustrates me, because I'm not one to ever really want to get to a point of ever being defeated and always trying to find how we can be successful. In early April, or not in early, sorry, in late April, I set up a meeting with our two Pierce County Council members, which we met with Mayor Carter in May. Kind of give them the information that we were looking for help. We, again, recently met with them. They have recommended for next year, I apply for a violence prevention grant, which the Buckley Youth Center used to receive. And then when the Buckley Youth Center was taken over by the city has not applied for that youth grant for the following years. And looking at the numbers of where we are drawing from, both council members felt it would be a good use of money, but that grant won't become available until next summer. We are looking at some additional fundraising ideas from local and regional partnerships. I was originally going to have a meeting last week with Umpqua Bank, but because I was out of the office ill, I had to postpone the meeting. And should be meeting with them either later this week or early next week, depending on when she's available. We're looking at attempting to come up with more sponsorships. So if you know of local businesses that want to partner regionally with our program, that would be greatly appreciated. There are some things that when we put together our proposed numbers last year, we weren't expecting this year. For instance, in the previous ILA, the copy machine was removed out of the interlocal agreement. We had to pay almost $3,200 this year to get a copy machine down at Robert Miller Gym. That wasn't in the budget of, I think we can do this for $148,000. There's also a monthly fee that goes with that, which I think is like $45 a month. So there's things throughout there that are unexpected expenses that have come up. That is one of those figuring out with how the ILA works with all of the nuances, how we can move forward. The most recent ILA, they wanted the school district required us to have everyone fingerprinted through the Washington State Patrol above and beyond just using our Pinnacle. Last December, we spent $1,300 on Washington State Patrol. This year so far, we've spent almost $1,000 on just state patrol background checks. Hopefully, if we are renewing an ILA with the school district, we'll be able to get that expense taken out. The copy machine printer is a one-time expense. So in the next budget cycle, we won't have to be putting out $3,200. When Rich resigned last year in the spring, we didn't truly realize the amount of overtime Rich was putting in while as a exempt employee. Having Alex do all of the work that Rich is doing, we really found out how much overtime that position is actually putting in. We have looked at other opportunities. We saw on the website, people have told us, and we approached the mayor and John about the recreation department taking over passports. That could have been about a $20,000 revenue increase, even for just Alex and I to be able to do those. We also have an open gym time for the kids on Tuesday and Thursday morning. That could also be used for passport time. We've been told that the admin services is going to continue doing passport services, and that's not a service that we can offer. So what questions do you have that we can try to answer as we move toward the last 6 weeks of the year? And
How much is the violence prevention grant?
I've heard, neither council member confirmed with me, but I've heard Buckley received $50,000. But that's 100% hearsay. And then we're also looking at which bigger businesses regionally can we get involved with for sponsorship.
This is probably the right place to talk about this, I guess, since this is finance. Since David's title is recreation and event management, and he oversees both of these, what are the thoughts on taking recreation and event management, making them one line item? Here's your budget for all of this, whether it's for concerts, it's events wherever we're doing in the city, it's recreation, saying this is your budget. this is all there is, make this work. And then that's one budget rather than two separate budgets that we're trying to navigate together.
I'm not for sure why you split across the two. That's what I think, is that what you're referring to, Carrie? I think that-
Yeah, why not just have it one? If
Yeah,
that's
I've been
the,
kind of baffled by the.
So
half
you
and
could
half.
certainly combine them. You know, they're split, a little bit of history. First of all, the state prescribes how we number accounts. So part of it's related to that, but I can work around that. The other part of it was council wanted to know how much recreation was when we brought recreation in, because we were really worried that recreation as a whole, when it had BNA, was gonna not do as well as it did. And so the council really wanted to kind of keep an eye on how much it was going to cost the city. So that's why they're split. There's no revenue though, with events and, you know, so combining them, I don't know if it'd make it easier for David or not, but there's no revenue. So 6 1 half dozen the other.
it could be something where maybe he gets sponsorships for a concert and that can help offset other costs, but it would all be, here's your mainframe budget, here's your expenses, and you know, and then whatever you can bring in to make all of this happen, in addition to your budget, then you have, maybe you have extra for parachuters, you know, whatever they're called, what are they, parachuters that we used to have?
Skydivers.
Yeah, skydivers. Used to come in to music in the park. Like, I know we haven't had that in a few years, and you know, budget's been tighter. I know next year's budget's gonna be even tighter, so maybe that could help in figuring
What is
things
the
out.
budget for events? So that he could maybe combine the two, but what is the budget?
Oh, I believe off the top of my head, it's like 109,000, I believe. I can't see you when I flip over, so I can't see you guys. But I can get you the number.
We won't
Hold
make
on.
any funny faces, we promise.
Yeah, please don't, because I can't see anything. So 57.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be better if they're together for budgetary purposes, but you know, David runs his department, so I don't know how.
So it's a-
how he wants to.
Sorry, the community events portion is about 75,000. There's the beautification that I think David manages as well, and some community service for the total. I believe that's where I got the 100. But the events alone are 75-ish. Yeah, 121 with all 3 of the 57 departments, David.
121 what? Is that,
That includes
With
the
all of-
beautification. I believe that David manages the beautification. I know, Jason, you manage forestry, and then community services, and then community events. So if you combined all of those, it'd be 121 plus the recreation budget. But the events alone is 75,000.
I also know on occasion, people have said, well, organizations like MRAC can apply for grants. I still haven't heard what grant that they can apply for, that we could go apply for at the same time to be able to help offset. While I was gone, Alex did attend National Parks and Recreation Association grant seminar for grants coming up. 2 out of the 3 grants that they had available, we weren't even close to qualifying for, because our service area includes areas such as Tahale and Lake Taps. If our service area was more like the Daffodil Valley area, we might have had a chance. But
We have too much money floating around us.
I think, you know, bottom line is honestly, we're gonna have to raise prices also. And make sure that, you know, they're gonna have to pay for the t-shirts, or if you're doing sponsorships or whatever, that should not be coming out of your budget. So,
so as an individual program, the programs are paying for their shirts.
Hmm.
So we're looking at it as when Laura goes to do a transaction, she's doing one transaction for that registration.
Mhm.
If we start charging for the t-shirts and anything else, then that doubles, triples every single one of those transactions each time we do that.
So it's all built
So-
into one price?
Correct. So the biggest expense, frankly, is our staff costs. And that's how much of the staff costs, the cost of a $3,200 printer, how much does the cell phone, how much of that, those wages and all of those expenses, how much do we charge the after-school soccer kids for those? Because if we were to charge everything, then we're probably gonna be close to doubling the cost of the program for each program that we're running.
I guess something, that's been on my mind a lot lately is we have been critiquing recreation very intensely since I came on to council this year. But we don't critique like the senior center. We don't critique other departments. We don't critique anyone but recreation over their budget. And that's, our senior center doesn't bring in a profit. Do they, Sherry?
No,
They have just a lot of expenses and very little that comes in. Is that correct?
yeah, the money that comes in covers the food cost. Sorry, I was trying to sneak through some
You're
audit
totally
reports to find out how much the grant for Buckley was real quick, but yeah.
Oh, you're good. So I guess I don't understand when I'm looking at like my kids, why my kids are not just as important as our senior citizens are when it comes to finances and money. And if we're gonna say, I'm just throwing this number out, Sherry, I don't know exactly what the number is for budgets. If we're spending, I know I looked at it once, but it was like, say it's $600,000 that we're spending on our senior, center. And we're spending revenue and expenditures this year for, recreation will be 669,000. Why aren't we looking at those as equal things? Our senior center and our kids should be given the same opportunities as one another. Instead of like saying, well, sorry, kiddos, we're gonna limit what you guys get because we can't bring in any revenue. But senior center, we're gonna keep giving you the same budget every year and you guys have all the stuff you need and do the things that you guys need to do, your outings, your activities, things like that, and their food.
Well, I would say they're not necessarily happy with everything.
I know.
Either.
Nobody's gonna be happy, that's for sure. You're right, that nobody's gonna be truly happy. I'm looking at it as like, we're just critiquing everything that's gonna be for our kids. And our kids are what we're trying to keep off drugs, keep off the streets, keep out of trouble, keep our law enforcement from having to arrest them, hopefully someday.
I think, issue with this is the council said they're good with this amount. If you're good with 200,000, if that's a better number for you, looks like you can make that, that's fine. Does that work for the budget? Or, basically what does council want to do, right? And that's, you guys get to make that decision.
Yeah, because that was, of course, what I was trying to point out was that the council did say there was X amount of valuation for that, right?
Mhm.
And you can move that around, whatever you wanted to do, it just had to fit within the budget. So we said, it was $148,000 line. We said, Parks and Rec, go run your department. We said, whatever it is for senior center, they get 600, whatever it is, million.
420.
And, I'm not aware that any of the other departments are going over their budget, like that, right?
Well, no,
That's
it's not
the
that, like others are going over their budget, but prior council took a massive amount of money away from
Yeah,
them and expected them to turn it over very quickly.
I think the timeline's a little bit weird on that, frankly.
Well,
Because, you know,
with-
my conversations with.
From September of last year was when before and after care ended.
No, it was
Correct?
before that.
But,
And
you know,
like, this happened 4 years ago
Yeah.
now. I mean, this is when I got elected, the very first meeting, I got this dropped in my lap and I was like, you know, oh, okay, I guess we're getting rid of the recreation program. We're, you know, getting rid of the ILA. And then I start getting phone calls from people. My first meeting, I think you went to the next one when I said, if you guys have concerns, then you better start showing up, you know, because I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I was like brand new. So, that's 4 years now, because.
No, I don't think so. David, am I remembering this incorrectly? I thought we dissolved BNA June of 2023.
Correct.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
last year.
It was mid-budget. And so it was a really, like Deputy Mayor said, it's kind of a weird timing because we put the budget together thinking we were going to have it. Then all of a sudden it comes through that, no, we're not going to have it. And so we were kind of trying to figure out, how do you separate? And I think part of David's difficulty here was, how do you separate a calendar year, a school year program into a fiscal year and try to figure out how much you're going to need, right? Because I don't operate that way. I operate January through December. They operate, you know, August to July. And so it was a really kind of weird timing financially. So now we have a year's worth of data almost of how much the program should cost.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry
no,
you're not
and that-
for me. I'm glad that I was right.
Yeah, because again, with that, it was important that there was a budgetary line there that, you know, I think the council, albeit now I'm like, I don't even know, I'm just gonna throw up my hands and walk away. Because we said that, you know, this is what the line is, you know, and go do it, you know, and I love David's work and their department's excellent, right? You know, you're doing a lot of stuff there, and that's why I'm like, you know, throw the keys to those folks and let them do what they're gonna do and expect them to come back and say, yeah, we're good. Or, you know, that type of thing, but they didn't, and then the council like said, well, okay, we don't care anyway, so I'm like very confused with, you know, our authorities, legislative authorities, budgetary, yes. You know. So if we're not gonna, you know.
We're not gonna honor the budget, then why did we set a budget?
I guess, and that's where I'm
Like,
kind
okay.
of looking at it. Now there's a year's worth of data
Yeah.
that shows that 148,000 above is not sufficient.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if that's not sufficient, and they now know that factually by,
Mhm.
you know, doing all their stuff, and Recreation's been working really hard to get the numbers and do things differently. And I think we need to kind of think about that for this next year's budget, and like, what are other things that we could do? And that's why I suggested maybe we can take the two, combine them, maybe that will help a little bit. And then maybe that will give him more opportunities for sponsorships of concerts. Maybe that will help offset concerts. And then maybe that will leave more money for recreation as well, to be able to stay where they've been asked. I know there's no extra money. I know there's no extra money to give them, but that's why I'm like, why not take the two, combine them into one? And then they have that to work with, or David has that to work with, and he can work with Sherry or whoever it is to come up with like, okay, how do we want to come up with a budget, make all this happen? I know it's a lot.
Where did we land with that number for what we're using in 25 and 26 then?
So it's offsetting. So I was still waiting for some numbers
Okay.
to be finalized,
Okay.
but since it's offsetting, I can tell you exactly what I put in for expenditures. It is 828,000, and that includes the 148 that has previously been authorized.
Because I'm hearing Carrie, you know, I'm with her with what she's talking about. It needs to be more, obviously, I would think, I guess.
But it sounds like, and David, help me out if I'm wrong here. It sounds like he has a pretty good lead on the grant. So I'd hate to change the budget per se at this point. I'd kind of like to play it out and see how he's done a great job of bringing the number down. And obviously, you know, if the council decides they want to use ending fund balance to support it more, we certainly can have that conversation, but I'd kind of like to see where this grant goes and some of these other opportunities that he's talked about.
Yeah, the only issue is that the grant doesn't come forth until this summer. So he will have to maintain that budget and try to figure out how to keep the expenses, because you won't know until the summertime if you get the grant or not. Or would you know before that?
I'm not sure how their process for extending the grant goes
Yeah.
for this one. I personally have not had the opportunity to apply for a Pierce County grant.
And let me ask you, how do you feel about the suggestion of putting the two together under one umbrella, essentially? Because I'm imagining that you probably spend most of your budget for event.
Typically, yes, I do spend most of the budget this year because I do know that the recreation budget was going to be very, very tight. I have not spent probably about $7,500 of the event budget to, at least on the backside, help offset that big number. Like
But there
Sharon
is
said, there's
the-
not really much for
Yeah.
revenue, so it's just adding more deficit to one column in my mind. So instead of having what could be, I'm just gonna use numbers, instead of having a $200,000 big red flag, we could have a $250,000 red flag. Because events they don't pay for themselves.
Yeah.
Kind of like senior center.
And events are kind of community support,
Yeah.
right? So they're not something that people are going to bring money to typically to say, hey, here's my $5. Can I listen to the concert? So I'd
Yeah.
hate to mingle the two. But I don't want you guys to get stuck on, well, he has to stay within that then. Not necessarily, because anything that goes over in this budget is going to have to come out of ending fund. We don't have a truly balanced budget. So if you're thinking that you're wanting to give him 200, it's coming out of ending fund anyways. So my personal desire would be to leave the budget as it is, continue to have discussions to see where we end up. And if that's the council, what they want to do is, allow 200 instead of 148. Well, it's coming out of ending fund until we figure out how we're going to solve our issues anyway. So.
Okay.
Okay, so that could be, as we go into next year, we just go, okay, so starting out, he's got 148,000 over his, revenue to spend. And then if that looks like it's going over, we can then discuss it, but hopefully they'll be able to, well, I mean, I know.
I'm having a stroke, right?
I know, trust me.
Cause I love Parks and Rec, there's no
But-
doubt, that's the core value to me is.
Then we
is-
just-
is our Parks and
Then we
Rec
talk with
system.
the rest of the
And I have
council
zero
about,
problem with putting more money in it.
So
then we
I,
talk with the rest of the council about going up to 200,000. And then we would be
right,
like,
yeah,
okay.
you'd go back to
hands are
council and talk.
washed, this is
Really?
it.
Yeah.
Really? Is that a guarantee or something, right? Really?
No,
Yeah.
but that's what it looks like right now, and that's which, hopefully it'll come down even more after this year, they had a rough year.
I know that my boss would basically have a bit, right? My boss, it would not be acceptable. So that's just me, I guess. That's why I'm.
But
that's why
everything
I'm
in our
totally
city-
shocked.
Everybody in our city is an expense, correct?
It is.
Every staff member, everything we do is an expense, so nobody generates income
No, they don't. And there's
except for
very.
sales tax, so the more places we can get both out there on, 410, the more sales tax we can bring in.
But the
So-
mayor hires excellent people and I trust him to make the judgment and run their departments within the budget that the council provides. So you get that collision there, where it's like, hey, wait.
Mhm.
You know,
So two things.
So-
One, he'll know whether or not he has the grant, right? He'll apply for the grant, whether or not he gets it. He can go back to finance committee and say, hey, didn't get it, need more money. Will you guys support that or not? Two, he mentioned something about the passports and, if that's truly, if they penciled out, they think they can do this and it's 20,000. I guess I'm confused why we wouldn't, and maybe this is a different conversation, but why we wouldn't entertain having passports at two locations.
That's internal, right? Exactly
It's
right.
temporarily because, I think Amanda's pregnant. Supposed to say that, but,
There's all.
but I don't know, can you do 2 locations for passports?
It's not something that's been looked into.
Yeah, but they have, the thing is that the clerk's office is trained and they had to take training to,
Yep.
be specifically,
It's free
Trained for
training
that?
through the feds.
There's also equipment that the
Yeah.
clerks have purchased, camera, background. Passports are time sensitive. You can't just say, okay, we got this passport. Well, next time someone runs up to mail it, those have to go out a special way every single day. Is it doable? I mean, yeah, we could do whatever. We could have passports at every building. Would it add expense? Yeah, I'm looking at you too. Would it add expense? Yes, it would. And the question to administration would be, does the expenses outweigh
Sure. Yeah.
the difference? And would Sumner have a fit about us taking some of their
Right.
passport customers away from them? Because I think Sumner and Buckley also provide passport services.
There's probably a need.
Yes.
There's a need. I mean, we get.
There's no
calls-
shortage.
We get
It
calls
just
daily
seems like
asking,
they
when
have-
are we gonna open it back up? When are we gonna open it back up? So
They just have such
there's a
a,
need. It's
you know.
not a short time. It's gone. Sorry. I was waiting for Sadie to chip in. Passports are not just, here's my stuff, ready, go. You come in with a family of 6 and 3 of them are toddlers. Those pictures take a long time. Because they will get rejected unless they are dead on correct. So it's not well, we can do a bunch of things and do passports. If you're doing passports for a certain block, you're only being able to do passports.
and it
So-
needs to be consistent. It has to have definite hours daily where people can come in and get their passports done. It's not
Well,
like.
they
we
were
do
done by
by
appointment.
appointment
They're done by appointment in the clerk's office.
Do it by appointment. We've developed our own little appointment scheduling system that we've opened up and created, so.
It just seems like they have such a, an influx of people coming and going that they would be able to fill up a schedule if they have the time. So, I mean, that's, not my decision. It was my idea. I will say that. I threw that out there to David. I threw that out there to some of the administration. I don't think that, personally, that it would be a bad thing to have more than one. But, I mean, look, right now, we haven't had passports for, 2 months and, we're waiting for people to come back. So,
I have to go to FedEx to get my passport pictures done. And that takes forever. You have to stand in line and wait. There's no appointments. You just go and stand in line and wait. So I haven't had to have them done in a few years, so that's good. But
We got one little item, if we can move to our next one for a moment, maybe, because we touched on it. We don't have a lot of information on it. The credit card fees, it's my understanding that the council would support, charging the customer for some type of a fee, whether that's a surcharge.
It's not charging the customer. It's essentially,
packing it on.
passing it on, but if we give them the option, so if they go and they decide to do like a bill payer and pay with their debit card, then there's no fee. But if they're paying with their credit card, their bill, then and we're covering all these costs. Right?
So, yes.
So,
right,
yeah.
The
I'll
debit card,
do
you can't use a debit card online. It is a charge.
It's
It's a Visa transaction. You can use your quote unquote debit
Yeah.
card, but it's a Visa transaction, so it would incur
The fee.
the fee. Yeah.
So isn't that the fee that you're talking about?
Mhm.
Because so the customer
Very,
can
okay.
incur a higher cost by using a credit card online, right? Now that
Or debit card.
Right, but they can be encouraged to provide their bank.
they
Yeah,
do the AC.
That's what I'm talking with the bill payer. is what-
yeah, so the issue with that, if I may real quick, I'll try to be super quick. I know we have no time. The issue with that right now is if we do a big push to try to get everybody on the credit, on the checking accounts, that it's all going to go away once we switch to Munis, and we have to get all that information again. So it's really kind of redundant to get that information now and make that big push. It's all going to go away, and then we're going to have to go back and do it again. The problem with charging out the fees on the utilities is there's no easy way in our system to currently do that. If Chuck implements the system, which will take him a little bit to work with Eden to do, then what actually happens is somebody has auto pay, so automatically goes on their credit card, right? Their fee gets added to their next bill. So we're going to get a lot of phone calls saying, why do I have this fee on my bill? What am I paying for? Even though they paid the bill the month prior. So every bill will be like that. We have $500,000, you know, at least in auto pay a month that all those people are going to start calling us. You know, if that's the council's choice, you're going to get a lot of complaints. It's just wonky. I think it's going to be wonky until we get switched to Munis. Munis is going to be able to actually charge the fee to the customer without us being involved in it. Charlie said we can easily charge out permitting and recreation right now. It's just not an easy way to charge out utilities.
Okay, so that was one of my questions, and we probably need a longer discussion, but we can, like permitting, say for instance, we look at that one, just specific function. We're able to charge the customer a fee when they want to use their credit card?
Yes, through the permitting,
Yes.
you can add a credit card fee that flips on automatically when,
So we could do that today, basically, if you want.
yeah.
Is that what you don't think, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's ridiculous for the state to be paying these.
Yeah, well,
When I buy something online, sometimes I have to pay a fee and sometimes I don't, but if I want that product or I need it, I'm gonna pay the fee.
so those are permitting and rec, I think, is that just kind of an internal administrative change kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a fairly easy
Very
change.
difficult to do though.
For utilities, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a really, it's ugly.
Problem over there.
Yeah.
That one's a big problem. to
Well,
figure out.
I say that if we can we wait on the utilities until after we get
Fair.
Munis?
Yes,
that
I
would-
recommend.
Yeah,
So then after we get Munis, then we go ahead and send out, or as we're starting to move forward towards Munis, then we let the customers know, hey, if you don't want to pay with your checking account, then there's going to be a fee added on, and then do the countdown, 2 months, 3 months, or, 1 month
Yeah.
left to go. Please sign up to pay with your checking account if you want to
yeah,
save money.
absolutely. We can take the conversation to the whole council if you want, or if you want to have another conversation here, whichever you decide. But yeah, I agree with you. That'd be the easiest way to go.
Okay.
I think it'll have to go to workshop.
Yeah, probably a workshop would be good.
We'll discuss.
A future one.
Get a recommendation
Okay.
out of this committee before we.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll bring it back.
Okay.
We adjourn.
That's what I said, right?
Yeah,
Bring back the
well,
finance.
it is, with the exception of, we'll clarify with the mayor, because I think they can do permitting and themselves.
Okay, so,
But, have to talk to staff.
thank you, Mayor.
We're.